you got the rhythm.
Now, guys, as you know, last year I interned with the Grand Rapids Gold, the NBA G League team for the Denver Nuggets. And today I have one of my bosses as my special guest. He is the Vice President / COO of the Grand Rapids Gold. Please welcome my special guest, Trey Conner.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me, Ben.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy to have you on. Honestly, it's really nice to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Trey, to start things off, the G League season is slowly and actually rather soon going to be starting up. So I know you're a very, very busy man at this time of the year. So how have these last few weeks or even these last few months been to really get everything started for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think especially with us going to Van Andel, right? There's a lot of emphasis on the change, the ticket system, everything like that. It's easy to get kind of tunnel vision. Home opener, right? We got a home opener November 10th, but then you got to remember, we got 23 other home games. So we go into it, obviously, the off season, just like an athlete, this is where you get better. This is where you make your improvements. And we just try to make sure that, we're proactive. So we're not just, a week before the home opener, trying to figure everything out last minute. So creating urgency early is important, having a vision, not just zoning in on that one game, knowing you got more games. So I think essentially at the end of the day, creating urgency early, being proactive and just knowing that it's a long season is where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just mentioned it too, but this Grand Rapids G League team has been in Grand Rapids since 2014, and since then it has called Deltaplex home. But obviously, with the announcement of the Deltaplex closing its door forever, and you guys moving to the larger venue in Van Andel Arena, that's gonna change a little bit. I'm sure it's been a crazy summer already for you in the organization. But how has that transition been so far, going from the Deltaplex to Van Andel?
It's been good. I think initially just getting the phone call with no prior knowledge that this was coming, needless to say, a little abrupt, was a little alarming, as you can imagine. But I think it quickly changed. People had more excitement. The communication with fans, I think they were a little bit more comfortable and open on their feelings of how much they were waiting for us to be in Van Andel. So that was good. But with anything, you're changing arenas, you're changing seating charts, you're changing ticket prices, you're changing, just everywhere you go. So it's a learning curve. So I think we kind of approach it with excitement, but in the same aspect, we understand there's going to be a little opposition that comes our way, but we're ready for it, and we know the long term is positive and bright.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it's not the only thing that you've had to go through this year. I mean, you have had quite an eventful year. I mean, you got married. Big congratulations to that, of course. You tore up your leg playing staff v staff basketball. And then, of course, 21-22 season, the Gold actually had a rebrand. Used to be affiliated with the Pistons and called the Drive. Now, for that last season, they changed their name to the Gold and are now affiliated with the Nuggets. So, over this last year, how has that transition been, going from the Drive to the Gold?
Overall, great. We loved the Pistons from 2014 to 2020. Great partnership there. Nothing but love. They obviously wanted to relocate the basketball team from us. We didn't feel like that was in our best interest from a business standpoint. So to make that jump with the Nuggets, overall has been phenomenal. Just working with the Nuggets, having their dream, their vision, a part of what we're trying to accomplish is big, and just working with them, they're open everything. This is their first time they've had a G League team. Obviously, we've operated for, like you touched on, this will be 10 years coming up here shortly. So, no, it's been awesome. We're just excited to be able to still be in Grand Rapids, we love the affiliation with the Nuggets, but like at the end of the day, being in West Michigan, having basketball in West Michigan is what's important to us.
Going off of that, Trey, you have been vice president for the Grand Rapids Gold for nearly 5 years now. Talk about some of your day-to-day responsibilities in this role, and I guess what a day in the life of Trey Conner looks like.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Not one day is the same, So we kind of work as a team. We assess and evaluate what our needs are. What that's going to Van Andel right now, right? Big thing, transitioning. We gotta go online for tickets next week. We're pushing Learning Ticketmaster. We're getting ready to roll out our theme night. So you know, the day to day is always changing, and I think that's what's awesome. And obviously with the changes from the Nuggets to the Pistons to the Nuggets, COVID, rebranding, all that good stuff. Um, as much as that was a learning curve, I enjoyed it, and it just keeps me growing. So day to day, every day changes, and you just got to kind of wake up and just kind of get after it.
Now, Trey, diving a little bit into the history of you, I don't know where you went to school before college, but talk a little bit about your sports background growing up.
Yeah. So first off, Broncos, Western Michigan in the house. In high school, played football and basketball. I was benefited enough and had the opportunity in football to I was all state in football my senior year. So pursued that route after high school. Played a season at GRCC for a year. Um, not to be one of those old guys blew out their knee stories, but did tear my ACL. Uh, and I just kind of just pivoted and transferred to Western, where I finished my career from a college standpoint and graduated with an education degree.
Yeah, absolutely. And diving a little bit deeper into that, you earned your associate's degree at GRCC, like you mentioned, and then studying health and physical education before getting your bachelor's at Western. What made you want to work in health and fitness?
I just think I've always had a passion in sports. I think there's a strong correlation with mental toughness in sports. I think if you can reach people through working out in sports, I think you can use those and correlate them to life. I think when you work out, when you run, right, like your mind is breaking before your body does. In sports, working with teams, you learn to work with people in the office and your job, and you just can correlate so much. So sports was a big part of my life, and it transferred not all, but most of these skills into the business world. So it's just a fun way for me to opportunity for me to just make those correlations and hopefully impact others.
Going off of that, Trey, you've been quoted on the record talking about GRCC as kind of a place that helps set your foundational values, and that GRCC is a great foundational starting point to a successful career. So community college isn't always seen as a place to really start your career, but going off of the words you've spoken about GRCC, how do you think that program really helps kickstart your career?
Yeah, I think there is kind of like a little stigma to community college, right? Like if you ask somebody what school they go to and they say they go to university, it's a quick answer. If somebody says they go to community college, typically there's a long-winded response to that. No, but I think community college, gets the foundations. You typically economically more accessible for people. Easier transition from high school to college, which can be tough for some people. But it gets you started. It gets you going. It gets you learning the college fundamentals, going to class, being responsible. Because when you go to high school, you may have the opportunity where teachers may look out for you, or your parent may be on you about your assignments. But when you transfer to college, it's really up to you. So making that jump sometimes is tough for people, but it gets you started, gets you going, and I think just getting momentum and getting into the flow is pivotal, and you can see good results from that.
For sure. And, similar question following that, but going into your bachelor's degree, obviously you just mentioned that you did go to Western Michigan. So how do you think that going to Western helped prepare you for the role you have today?
I think just going to Western. in the college atmosphere, because you graduated a couple years ago from Bradley, right? Yep. So those situations and meeting deadlines and working in groups and studying for tests, it's all just preparation and picking up those habits. If you got a homework assignment due on Thursday, it's no different than in the workforce. So just really picking up skills in that aspect, deadlines and in group setting, and just working through opposition. It's not fun to have to study for finals. It's not fun to do final projects, but the same thing in work. You're going to do stuff you don't want to do all the time. So just mentally preparing yourself for that.
Yeah, definitely. And in your time at Western as well, you were the state president for the Michigan Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. Talk about what that experience was like, what you did for them in this position, and how do you think that helped kind of grow in your career?
Yeah, no, I think that was pivotal for me. I try to stay proactive. For me, when I was in college, it was okay. When you graduate, you have a degree, you have the certificate, and hopefully a good GPA. But it was, what can we do now to help you become more marketable in the job force? When you graduate, it's not like I graduate, get my degree, and then there's a job. So it was really trying to build that resume and just make myself that much more experienced and everything like that. So that was a good opportunity. So I planned conferences for other education majors, and I was kind of the voice for phys ed and health instructors at that time in my level for college students, and it was just a good way for me to connect and just be more involved. That was kind of the premise of that one.
Your first job out of college, it wasn't for a sports team, as you were a PE teacher at Washington Street Elementary, as well as a fitness staff member at Bronson Athletic Club. So, starting with your time as a PE teacher, what did you enjoy about that job?
Oh, I mean, just impacting the youth. I think you know I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of people enjoy phys ed in school, right? Like usually, you know, as a class, a lot of people enjoyed that, and I think it's an outlet for some people that may be struggling in the classroom. And I was also, as an educational teacher, just being a male, was big for those kids. They really gravitate towards, because the teacher profession is so dominated with the female, which is awesome. But I think a lot of times, kids these days, kind of not necessarily need, but kind of look for that male attention. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it was, positively impacting the youth, being there, and just building those connections. That would have meant the world to me. I could wake up in the morning and walk the halls at 7 and be dead tired, but talk to a couple of kids, kind of get you, juvenated, and you just kind of, those tougher days, like any job, you sit back and you look at the impact you make, and makes it all worth it.
Yeah, definitely. And, diving a little deeper into that as well, you seem to have always had that passion for teaching the youth about health. Even in your current role, you still help, run these youth camps through the gold. So, what is it about being able to teach the kids about, being healthy and staying active that you enjoy so much?
I would have to say, I think for me, is that aspect of everyday life. It's just important. Like I said, just kind of earlier, just that mental toughness, that correlation to physical fitness and everything, just persevering. It's just my way to, like, here's something I'm motivated with, and I can take that platform and expand on it. Was big for me.
Moving on from that, Trey, in 2014, you were hired on to help build up a brand new G League franchise in Grand Rapids, called the Drive, now called the Gold, where you started off as the director of community relations. Can you talk about that process and how you were approached with that opportunity?
Yeah. So 2013, uh, Steve Jabara reached out to me and said that the Pistons were looking for a D League team at the time. It used to be the development league. and asked me if I would like to be a part of launching it. I was teaching, loving teaching, thought that that was something I was going to do for a while. And Steve was like, "You want to do it?" And I was kind of like, "Yeah." Not thinking really anything was going to come of it, right? That's kind of a pipe dream. It's like sound good, right? But no, ended up working out. So we were able to launch the team in 2014. Kind of coming into that role. It's not like I came from another sports team and got trained on. We were starting a team, starting a business, all at the age of 24. So it was, as much as people think that the transition to the Deltaplex to Van Andel was tough. 24, 2014, that was a lot, and that was a lot to take on. But 10 years later, I'm happy with the decision I made.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't even imagine how difficult that'd be to start a team. Um, but we've of course talked about your sports history and your passion for health and fitness. But looking back at your career, did you ever think that you'd be working for a basketball team?
No, not necessarily. I thought it was going to be, impacting the youth in some capacity. Teaching, I could have saw myself, you know, kind of climbing the ladder in the educational world, but not necessarily basketball. No.
We've talked about your teaching history and briefly those youth camps from the Gold, but in your former position as director of community relations, how do you think that you were able to take those skills that we've already mentioned and successfully apply it to that organization?
Yeah, teaching, teaching is education, is planning, it's communication. Which is everything, right? Like communicating to other people, planning things out. And I think that's what made me have success in the ticket sales role. Being passionate to help people. If I would go down to the Boys and Girls Club or any community event, just kind of people would see me do something for them and they would do something for me in return, right? That's kind of how it works. It was like a two-way street. It wasn't my intent, didn't have like a hidden agenda by any means. Just being a former teacher, I enjoyed the community aspect. I enjoyed, bringing basketball, the product, but then also enhancing the community. And in turns, the community kind of gravitated towards us, and that helped me from a ticket standpoint, sell groups, season tickets, and even sponsorship today.
And going off of that as well, in 2018, you did land a major promotion as you moved up to your current position as vice president of the Gold. Can you talk about what that conversation was like, why you felt that would be a good opportunity for you, and kind of what that moment meant to you?
Yeah, I think with anything, nobody wants to be stagnant in life. You always want to progress. I think that's one of the most pivotal things to happiness in life. Is just keep going, especially post college. In your career, just having that vision. So it's something I had always envisioned doing, even in 2014 when I started. That I would, kind of be in the position I am in today. So with that, I try to have that vision and think to myself, what would it take to be there before I got there, right? Kind of, a vision. If I was the vice president now, how would I act? What would be the responsibilities? Not coming in too hard where, rubbing people the wrong way, but I wanted to be there before I got there. So yeah, 2018, received that promotion, that transition. It meant a lot. I think, you get excited. You want to celebrate for a little bit, but you want to still got a job to do. So it was kind of like, I climbed that mountain, it celebrated for a second. Then it's like, all right, what's the next mountain? And just keep going from there, So very exciting and, just happy and blessed to be a part of it.
Now, Trey, one thing that I've always noticed about you in my time with the Gold is that, not only are you fun to be around, but you are a super hard worker. And, honestly, it's something I always appreciated and, made me enjoy coming to the stadium even more. But I guess where I'm going with this is that another aspect of your career that you've been quoted on is that you attribute three characteristics to your success, and those being consistency, patience, and hard work. Talk about those traits, how you utilize them to get to where you are, and why you think having those qualities kind of led to having that successful career so far.
Yeah, between starting the team in 2014, COVID in 2020, uh, rebranding, rehiring, restaffing, affiliate changes. It was not a ton of like opposition, right? Going to Van Andel from the Deltaplex. So I think that's the big thing with patience. Understanding that not everything is going to go well. Not every day is going to be great, but you got to get up and do your best. We not a perfect person by any means, right? But at the end of the day, if I can look myself in the mirror, if I can look at the coworkers in the eyes and let them know I gave it everything I had, that's all I can do. So I think that's you're not going to accomplish everything in one day. If you're building the wall, it's brick by brick. If you're getting trained for a marathon, you're doing miles. So same approach with life, and you take it day by day. That's where the consistency comes in. The patience is understanding that you're not going to get there overnight, and then just hard work, which is subjective to everybody, right? If you have 10 people, the definition of hard work, you might get 10 different answers. But I think for me, it was just giving it everything I had, and just making sure I didn't let uh, really myself down, but then other people that have invested in me for my whole life. So that was important.
Trey, moving on from that, getting firsthand working a full G League season, I gotta say it's honestly a lot of fun and deserves a lot more credit than it gets. But in your opinion, why should more people watch the G League?
A lot of upcoming talent, guys that haven't made it yet. Not to say that the NBA players aren't hungry for a championship, but you got guys coming day in, day out, still trying to fulfill their dreams. It's NBA talent that they just haven't got the opportunity. I think people don't understand how close these guys are to making an NBA roster, and it's just a good way to keep up with the talent. We've had last year Isaiah Thomas, Lance Stevenson, Nick Stauskas, all players that are signed an NBA contract this last year. So I mean, at the bottom line is great talent, hungry guys, and just the way to stay up with current players.
Yeah, definitely, and that's one of the things I really enjoyed about last season. You just mentioned all the great veterans that we had at IT: Lance Stevenson, Nick Stauskas, Kenneth Fareed. And on the flip side of that, we also had a lot of players, a lot of younger, lesser known players that got NBA contracts. I mean, Devon Reed on the Nuggets, and now you have Matt Ryan on the Lakers. So I guess a two-part question, but my first question is, what kind of went into those decisions to bring in these well-known and loved veterans, and on the flip side of that as well, what do you think made the development of these younger, lesser-known players so successful?
Yeah, I think the first time is with the older players, the veterans. I would accredit that to really Jason Terry. I think these older players, these veterans, more experience is probably a better way to explain them. Uh, they were looking for a coach, a coaching staff that they trusted, and Jason Terry, the years he spent in the NBA, the NBA championship, the connections, I think that was like a no brainer for them. But I think with the younger players, Reed and Matt Ryan, I think they just had an opportunity to shine. I think they were able to showcase their skills, and really when they had an opportunity, they made the most of it. Because Matt going to Team USA, after that really skyrocketed him to a two-way contract with the main was it Red Claws?
Celtics now.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been around too. But then I'm saying just getting that call up and being seen there, and then being able to get that deal with the Lakers, and then with Davon Reed, his just being sought out by the Nuggets and dominating very quickly with the gold. He was able to get time with the Nuggets, and when he got time with the Nuggets, he made it count. So a lot of credit to those guys making the most of their opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely got to play the series in this video where he just absolutely locked up LeBron James. That's definitely one of my favorite Devon Reed moments. It was pretty cool to see.
5-point lead. Nuggets playing zone again. James, they can go right through the legs. And knocking it away for a moment. And Devon Reed says, bring it on, King. Bring it on. Crowd going nutty. LeBron falls down. Devon Reed on LeBron James here.
Nearly steals it the first time. And then LeBron's going to try to get his body into him. And Devon just backs up and gets away.
But, going off of that, I know that G League teams across the country recently had their open tryouts. I'm not sure if any rosters have been finalized. And obviously, you just mentioned you guys did get a new coach since, we stole Jason Terry from you. But if they have, or if they're at least being close to being published, what kind of things can we look forward to seeing in this year's Gold roster?
Yeah, a lot up in the air, right? Nuggets and an NBA team still in training camp. So they're finalizing their roster. So once the Nuggets make their final cut in the next couple weeks, with their team coming back full strength, I would imagine that allows, for the Grabs Gold to receive higher talent that, they might not have in the past, just because the Nuggets are full strength. Until the Nuggets finalize their roster, we'll see who we get. But I would imagine you're looking at guys who will get called up, will be part of the NBA someday. It just may take a little bit of time.
For sure. Hopefully we see Georgie back.
Yeah. Yeah, fan favorite. Can't beat Georgie on or definitely off the court.
Awesome. Now, Trey, obviously we mentioned this in the beginning, but this will be the Gold's first season in Van Andel Arena, sharing it with the Red Wings affiliate, the Grand Rapids Griffins, a much larger, more central venue that really has that potential of bringing in more fans and, the ability to, kind of boost that game experience, if you will. So, the Griffins always bring a great crowd. So what are some goals that you might have this season and maybe some ideas that you have to bring in more fans?
Yeah, I think with just the location is pivotal. So with that change, right? If we can partner with as many restaurants as we can, just to keep that kind of work crowd downtown and enticing people, more entertainment, just the accessibility aspect, because as much as love the Deltaplex for 9 years, there wasn't really any secondary fans. There wasn't, hey, I'm going out to eat and then I'm just going to kind of see that there's a drive/goal game. Here, you could be wanting to go out with friends and then you find out that there's a Gold game. So just really trying to pick up on the everyday person downtown. As far as the venue goes, I think with it being new to us, we just want to kind of start off kind of simple, do everything well, and then as time goes on, get more elaborate and more unique with our entertainment. This is the first time our whole staff is going to Van Andel, so we just want to be thoughtful and strategic on how we grow. And understand that the long-term goal is to get where the Griffins are. But it may take, a couple games to get there.
Now, Trey, just overall, what do you enjoy the most about your job?
Yeah, for sure. I think we touched on it earlier, the variety aspect. But I think at the end of the day, taking the basketball platform, the product of basketball, and just being able to connect with people. Sports can really connect everybody. It can really motivate the youth. Even though the product is basketball, I think at the end of the day, everybody in some capacity wants to improve the everyday life of other people. And I think you can really do that. You got these professional athletes that have never been, may just never be in Grand Rapids if it wasn't for the Gold. So just taking that and making, the trip to the Boys and Girls Club, or, just really impacting and essentially just creating memories, 9-10 years of basketball, I run into people, they might not remember my name, but, they remember how their son or daughter, had a great time at their birthday party or had a great time at the game. So that's what's important for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree with that because that's a big reason why I want to start working in sports is that, you really impact people's lives in a different kind of way. You really take them away and bring them something fun that's not in their normal day-to-day life, which is, again, something just I've always enjoyed as well. Finally, Trey, just to finish out this episode, obviously you've been able to build a great career for yourself with the gold. For anyone who has a dream of being in a position like yours, what advice would you give them?
I think at the end of the day, one, most important, you gotta believe in yourself. I think there's a lot of external, thoughts out there like, hey, you might not make it, you might not be qualified or whatever. So the most pivotal thing is believing in yourself. Secondly, I would think, where's the end goal or where is your goal? And then take it a step further and map it out what it's going to take you to get there. And finally, I would just say, just be disciplined into that goal and just never giving up.
Awesome. Well, Trey, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Excited to see how well the Gold do. Legally, I think I have to root for the Stars, but hopefully I see you down here someday for a Stars Gold game.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we'll see you back in GR too around the holidays when you're back.
Absolutely. I'll definitely have to come out to a game. Well, that's going to wrap things up for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the BaseLINE podcast. Thank you to Trey Conner for coming on and talking about his career with the Grand Rapids Gold. Super excited to see what the Gold do this season. But, gotta root for the Stars, baby. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, share it with a friend, and, check out my other videos as I put a lot of hard work into these videos, and, I just really appreciate that support as well. If you enjoyed the music, as always, go check out Hidden Harmony. Link for them will be in the description below. With all that being said, guys, thank you again so much for tuning into this episode of the BaseLINE podcast. I'm your host, BaseLINE Newman, and we'll catch you guys next time.